and welcome back to the vlog. We've been asked many times, how do we go about choosing what property to buy in France? And what was it about Beziers that made us decide to buy our property there? So we're going to run through 5 key things that we considered when looking at properties to buy.
First point is climate. Choose an area that has weather that's going to suit your lifestyle and interests. We've had about 10 holidays around France over the years in many different areas, and many of them were so gorgeous, but we had to rule them out because we just don't want to have many months of the year that are wet and cold. We come from sunny Gold Coast in Australia, so we chose Beziers, which is down by the Mediterranean coast, because of its temperate climate.
The second point to consider is to be very clear on what type of property you want. Do you want a house that's in the countryside, maybe with some land, or do you want to be in a small village or in a big city, or would you rather buy an apartment? In the country, you get more house for your money, possibly with land for animals or veggie gardens, pool, but you may have to get in the car to go anywhere, and it may be harder to meet people and make new friends. On the other hand, if you choose to live in a town, then you can walk to the boulangerie every day for your baguette, walk to the cafe, bar, market and so forth. We've read that during COVID, many buyers rushed into buying rural properties and are now selling up due to feeling isolated. Another factor to consider is who's going to maintain the property if you're not there all the time. If this is a second home, then you would need to think about, if you've got a large piece of land, then there's going to be ongoing maintenance requirements, and that might require spending quite a bit of money or quite a bit of time every time you go there, just doing things like mowing lawns and gardens. In our case, we intend to spend half of the year in France, and that was one of the key reasons why we chose to buy an apartment, because it's basically a lock up and leave. There's no grounds to maintain and no other ongoing maintenance expenses for us, so that suited us perfectly.
The third point to consider is transport. How are you going to actually get to your property? If you come from within Europe, well, you're likely to drive to your property. But for us coming from Australia, we've got to be close to an airport or a train station.
The second part of transport relates to, do you want a car? Of course, as Janet mentioned, if you're driving, you'll have your car anyway, but if you're coming from further afield, you need to decide, do you want to buy a car or do you want to use public transport? Because that can have quite an effect on the type of property that you buy. For example, if you want to buy an apartment and you also want to have a car, then your options are actually quite limited, because many apartments in towns and cities do not have parking. So you would have to think about either buying a property with parking, or is there somewhere locally that you can rent a car space to keep the car for you to use. We made the decision early on that we were not going to have a car, and so therefore choosing an apartment that was close to public transport was really important for us. The apartment that we settled on in Beziers is right in the middle of town. It's within easy walking distance of the bus terminal and the train station. So we've found that we can get around the city of Beziers and the surrounding areas very easily. And an interesting aspect about the buses is how forgiving they are. Like, for example, when we go shopping, whether it's to the supermarket or buying appliances, bits and pieces for our apartment, it's amazing what you're allowed to take on the bus. And here's a photo of one of my shopping efforts, where all of this that you can see that I'm standing with, I was able to take on the bus.
We chose Beziers. It's a smallish city of about 80,000 people, but it has a wonderful transport network. It's got the TGV train station, just 5 minutes walk into town. And then it's got an amazing bus service with buses to everywhere, and it's €1 a trip. So, you can even go to the beach for €1 with regular buses. It's amazing. It's 12k to the Mediterranean.
And as an added bonus, as seniors, we qualify for the seniors discount card. So for the princely sum of €6 each, we can get a month's travel on the buses, unlimited travel. So that's a pretty good deal in our view. The fourth factor to consider is the type of village, town or city that you want to be based in, because that has a huge bearing on the experience that you'll have while you're there. A key aspect to consider is whether you want to be in a popular tourist area versus a town with a sizable local population. Towns like this, while very beautiful and full of life in summer, can be dead the rest of the year with properties locked up, shutters closed, restaurants and shops closed, and not too much happening at all. So it's very good to check out the area you think you might want in winter and summer to really get a feel for the character of the place before you commit.
We wanted a town with a sizable local population so that there's plenty of activities and services all year round. We love going to Les Halles for oysters and champagne, or fresh food, or a meal, or just an apéro. Les Halles was a must on our list. Beziers has a beautiful historic theatre, which was one of the first things that struck me as being wonderful when I first went there. I thought this is a town with a cultural heart, and I wanted to be part of that. Then there's the leafy, pedestrian Allée Paul Riquet, which was developed where the Old Town Wall used to be. It's lined with cafes and hosts the local markets most days a week, from flowers to fruit and veg to brocants. Local markets were also on our list of must-haves. Beziers has the Canal de Midi, which was built in 1860 to link the Mediterranean Sea with the Atlantic Ocean near Bordeaux, and that saved ships having to brave the pirates and travel all around past Gibraltar. While the cargo side was later superseded by the advent of the railways, the Canal de Midi is now a major tourist attraction for boating holidays, and the Font-Saran staircase of locks, which lifts boats up 21.5 metres by a series of 7 locks, that's a World UNESCO Heritage Site right in Beziers. It really is a marvel of engineering and still in use today and attracting many tourists in summer.
Beziers has an amazing historical heart with medieval buildings as well as the later Haussmannian buildings from around the 1900s, which are still intact, having not been heavily bombed during the war like so many other places in France. Being able to soak up history right from the Roman times and having a Marie who values these buildings and is actively preserving them was very appealing to us.
So Beziers has life, great character, history, plenty of services and things happening all year, with people to see and things to do. The fifth thing to consider is price. Now, prices vary hugely from region to region. We absolutely loved Provence and the Dordogne, but when we looked in the real estate agency windows when we were there, we got depressed because everything was totally out of our budget.
We'd actually visited Beziers several times over recent years, and we finally came to the conclusion that it was the place that ticked all of our boxes, including, very importantly, fitting within our budget. Once we decided on Beziers, we did a lot of research back in Australia online, looking at the properties that were available and getting a really good feel for the market there and what was on offer to buy. And then earlier this year, we spent a month in Beziers looking at a selection of properties that we had shortlisted. And so when we found the apartment that we ended up buying, we looked at one another and knew that this was the place that we wanted to be and that we wanted to buy. And happily, that's the place that we've purchased. And if you've watched any of our earlier blogs, you will have seen some of the renovations that we've been doing. We're about to go back to Beziers. We're in Australia at the moment, but we're really looking forward to getting back there. It's a lovely place. So that's it for now. It's bye from the Gold Coast, and soon it'll be
Bye from Beziers.
See you soon.
To see more of our videos, please subscribe below and check out these other videos as well. Thanks.